This is why I don't like paying attention to the world. The world is so much better when I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah, that's
James, come in and tell me about the world.
I know, like
Keep going.
I thought there was going to be like
spank
more
me, Daddy, spank me.
Yeah, you really like. Maybe I can get a climate scientist to come in. I've stopped ignoring that really too, so I
Yeah.
can feel better about
yeah,
the world.
yeah.
And now with Biden dropping out, it's like, and the media's hilarious on this. I turned it on just briefly yesterday, and it was like he unprecedentedly, surprisingly dropped out after we fucking called for it for 6 straight months every night on air. And we're
Right.
surprised now that he did it. You fuckhead,
Shut
up.
One of my favorite podcasts is Pod Save America, which is a bunch of people that used to be staffers for Obama. They have this and they, after completely throwing him under the bus after the debate, rightfully so. They were very careful with their words, but basically were saying he should drop out without saying he should drop out. And then they dropped an episode yesterday where they were like, we just have to, what a good man Joe Biden is for stepping up for America, because he was the only person that could beat Trump in 2020. And now once the evidence was laid out for him and knowing that he can't win now, again, being a great American and stepping aside. And it's so like, look,
Pandering and stupid.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know. I've been going through, so like, one, I've never been a big Kamala fan. I was also not a big Biden fan in 2020. I wanted it to be Elizabeth Warren or Bernie.
Yes.
My mother, a right-wing conservative.
She's one of these people that I had to block.
Right. A right-wing conservative actually said to me after Biden dropped out, before it was clear it was going to be Kamala, she said, I said, is there anybody that you would vote for other than Trump? And she said, well, if the Democrats nominated Bernie, I'd vote for him. And that's
is it just because she wants somebody that's not a part of the system?
right. Yes, that's exactly why.
The same system she voted for her whole life?
Well, she's never trusted the system. That's why she's a
Oh.
conservative. She's never trusted the institutions.
They are the institutions.
He's not a Democrat, though. She's scared that Trump's going to get rid of her Social Security. Like, she's still going to vote for him, but she is genuinely concerned about, like, even the Project 2025 stuff. Like, that even freaked my right-wing conservative mom out, because she was like, wait a minute, they're going to get rid of overtime for people working over 40 hours? And she was like, well, what they should be doing is making it so that managers because my mom worked in retail management for a lot of her life, and because she was salaried, she'd have to work 60 hours a week.
Right.
And she still only got a base salary that ended up, when you did the math, came out to less than minimum wage.
I always thought
sometimes.
that, like, in the service industry, like working in restaurants, and you'd be waiting tables, and like, you want to be a manager, like, and people, oh yeah, I'm moving up, making more money.
And then finding out that
No, then you're just covering every shift. It's your responsibility. You make less money. You do
Exactly. And so like that, but that kind of stuff actually had her. But as soon as it was clear it was Kamala, my mom's obviously not going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Why?
I mean, it's not a race thing. It's not, because here's a
race is number 4 on the list.
Well, it's probably number 4 on the list. But I have, the more I've been around like my conservative family members lately, their favorite people right now are the dude that's the black guy that's running for governor in North Carolina,
Tim Scott.
Not Tim Scott. That's the South Carolina guy. Mark Ferguson, the guy running for governor in North Carolina.
Of North Carolina?
Mark Robinson.
I just saw an ad for him yesterday that I was like, that's a real dude?
That's a real. He's our lieutenant governor. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
He's
going to probably be our next governor. But no, they love like that Mark Robinson. They love Tim Scott. They love Candace Owens. They love Ben Carson. Like, to most they're still old racist bigots. It's just that I think now they think black people are white. Like, that transition has happened for a lot of them. You remember, like, because the Irish were initially not white to founders of America, right? But like the initial settlers, when the Irish got here, they were like, these are blah, 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 blah. And then slowly the Irish got adopted into whiteness. And then the Dutch got adopted in right after the Civil War. And then, the Italians in the early, 1920s, 30s, 40s, they got adopted into whiteness. And I think for most of these old bigots, they're just adopting black people into whiteness now. And because they like so many old bigots I've seen have been like, that Dave Chappelle, he made a good point. They're like, I heard an old dude at Tractor Supply railing that he didn't like these new workers at his farm because they don't speak proper Spanish.
What does that mean? There's proper Spanish?
Well, no, because he spent his whole life as a farmer speaking Spanish as spoken by people from Mexico. And his new group of workers are from South America. So they speak a hybrid of Portuguese and Spanish.
Oh, okay.
And so he was like, I've been speaking Spanish since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And these motherfuckers don't even know the language.
Learn our second language.
Right. And so it's like, I think Mexicans are even slowly, and you can tell that I think a lot of black people and a lot of, because they're starting to vote Republican too. So I think they're starting to feel and recognize that they've been adopted in.
That's interesting. I remember Ron Ramey, a comedian out of St. Louis.
What I just said could be chopped up into so many weird and horrible clips that'll.
Yeah,
so
that's what we'll do.
But don't worry, I'm sure Seth's gonna add in nice fart noises over where I said shit, so it'll be fine.
But he railed on me. He was in a condo late at night one night for about an hour and a half.
Pause.
He sort of laid into me about how I've sort of been incorporated into whiteness, and he's like, "You're not white, dude. You're not." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, You walk around Miami. Everybody walks up to you. They start speaking to you in Spanish first, don't they? And then once because you're darker skin, he just was laying into me about the racism of me just selling out my history and my race to identify as white. He's like, that's how fucking racist our society is. You think of yourself as a white person, and you're not. Right. They don't accept you, and it was a very interesting conversation that I thought was crazy. And like as you're talking now, I'm like, oh, okay.
It's at this point, it's way more. I mean, because you got to think there are very few poor old white ladies in this country, conservative white ladies, that don't have at least one mixed race grandchild. Like that is incredibly common now, and they all love their little mixed race grandbabies, and they're still racist and bigots. It's just they've moved on. Their bigotry is now more about
it's liberals.
It's liberals. It's saying that you can't say ladies got wieners. It's like that kind of shit. And it's still it's still South Americans. It's still illegal immigrants. It's still all the same stuff. Just the people that they're attacking have evolved as the new
okay,
people.
So your mom would have voted for Bernie, and that's another thing.
Yeah,
I had a friend of mine yesterday tell me he's going to vote Trump if Kamala, what's her name, Kamala, and whatever,
Kamala
Harris, who I loved when she was a senator. She was a senator.
Yeah. You weren't sure Congress said it. Yeah, you said that the other day. Whichever branch she was in. I loved her so much that
she was the best at that thing. I don't know.
She was a senator from where? Arizona, California,
somewhere. I don't know. All I know is she was like when she would be on a committee or something, and there'd be a clip. Like she was one of those first
viral.
Like where I was like, oh man, she stands up to the man and fucking calls him out, and she's smart and witty and. I really liked her. And then when she was running for president, I was like, oh, she kind of got buried quickly. She got buried. She was in like 8th out of 9.
They're going to destroy her, though. Because just remember what's his face that ran back in the 80s with he was in the tank with the helmet on. He was running for president against Bush.
Oh, yeah.
We just talked about him before, I think.
Yeah. Whatever the hell his name was. But his entire political career got destroyed because he looked silly wearing an army helmet. And they're already trying to do that with Kamala's laugh. Yeah, Dukakis. Well, there are all these clips of her laughing and how, like, Trump was already saying she's crazy. Like, listen to her laugh. She's a crazy person. And just...
She will murder him in a debate, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know.
He wouldn't
Come on, dude.
dare.
She's so
I don't know.
smarter.
But, like, that's different rules. It's like, I could outsmart a 3rd grader. But if he's like going and making everybody laugh, everybody's going.
You're not. No,
looks like I
there
lost.
is absolute like to Trump's base. You're right, because honestly, I think the best part of a possible Trump-Kamala debate is can he get through an hour on stage with her without
Taking a shit
dropping
in
an
his pants.
N-bomb?
Oh, dropping a what?
Dropping an N-bomb. I mean,
oh, come on. man.
come on, he does it all the time. Apparently, they've got him on tape doing it.
Yeah, I don't. I think he's. I think
Not
he-
now.
yeah,
I mean,
not now.
I mean, yeah.
I
not
mean,
now.
The Apprentice wasn't that long ago.
15 years ago.
You think he's evolved as a person?
I think
since
we'd have
then?
caught him since then. Yes, I think we would have caught him since.
You
then.
think so?
Yeah,
Yeah, they got Hogan. They got
Well, they'll-
what's her name?
they'll
The
get it.
chef.
He can't even yell it in traffic anymore because there's people in the car with him. You know what I mean? And he doesn't listen to the same. He doesn't listen.
Yeah,
to,
he doesn't listen to
Kendrick.
hip-hop, so-
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But I'm.
So it's over. Like she's the thing. There's not going to be a debate about it.
There's absolutely. It was done before it was announced.
Well, this is how they got Biden in. This is what the Democrats keep doing. They keep
Complaining about like democratic norms being destroyed and then skipping them themselves.
and then they just cram the person that we didn't want down our throat. Like
My-
they did it with Hillary. They did it with Biden. Now they're doing it again. Like
Yeah.
we're deciding for you. So that's an obvious complaint
Right.
that they're going to throw out there.
Right.
And I think they're laying the groundwork to take even if when they lose, they're going to when the Republicans lose, they're just going to take it through the courts and be like,
Right.
this is illegal that she's even the
Yeah.
candidate.
yeah,
And then the Supreme Court
my
is a fucking train wreck now too.
my mom called exactly what is happening right now to the T, down to even the fact that they were going to wait till after the RNC to do it. Exactly what's happening. She called it verbatim a year ago that Biden was going to end up either getting killed or drop out. He was either going to die or drop out, and Kamala was going to be on the
That's
ticket.
really concerning to me.
I
That your
mean-
mother got something right.
I mean, nailed it. Specifically, even the fact that they were going to wait till after the RNC.
Does that make you think she might have been right about everything for the last 8 years?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is the
But
equivalent of a clock.
No, it's because within right wing media, this has been what they've been saying since Biden was running. The first time was that he was only a puppet, that Obama's really the president, that Kamala's really the president, that it's all just a setup to, trick people into vote. There's nothing new in it other than how specific right wing media was a year ago, saying when Biden was, running unopposed, once it was clear that nobody was really going to stand up and run against Biden in the primary, that what was going to happen. All of them just started saying, yeah, well, they're just doing this because
Do you think if they'd have had a primary, that this would have been taken care of a long time
they
ago?
had a primary, just nobody ran. It was like Marianne Williamson, and there were like 2 Democrats that actually stood up to run. Nobody like you didn't even know that there was a full primary. People went out and voted in the primary.
They never
all
debated
voted
each
for Biden.
other.
Right.
That's what I mean. Do you think if they'd have been like debates where Biden had to debate other people, does a running president ever debate the other people in the party?
I don't think. I think maybe that happened to like Carter. Like I think Carter debated Kennedy.
Which, by the way, I just watched a documentary about him on the plane about
Yeah.
his molding of music and politics together, which
Yeah.
is sort of what got him elected. Like all these bands, these Southern bands, and so that was like a guy that went, our country should lead on its morals and its character, and and America went, yeah, we don't like that.
Yeah, no,
Because he was
he was
fucking great.
actually a good person.
And
He was actually a good person.
his
that
ideas
became
for
president.
foreign policy were great. He never started a single war while he was there,
Yeah, but he got destroyed because he came across as weak. Because Americans don't want a good president.
We don't have character. We don't have character. So we
No.
got to quit pretending we do.
But if we quit pretending we do, then it gets even worse.
That's
Have you ever watched the show? I've recently started watching the show The Boys. I think the only thing that keeps
Yeah.
us together is our lies. Because if we ever truly embrace that we were the evil empire, then that's when we start doing Germany shit.
What, you think we double down on it? We wouldn't be horrified?
No, I think most Americans wouldn't be. Which is sad, but you really think that if America embraced its position as the evil empire, it wouldn't make things worse? They wouldn't be like, yeah, I guess we can genocide.
Well, no,
Like overtly and over the top. Because half of the country would actually have no problem with us returning to, or beginning to do things. Well, returning really, what we did to the Native Americans, what we did all the way up through the civil rights movement and since then. Most Americans don't have an issue with that stuff.
I think most do. I think that's why.
Not fundamentally.
It's like it's
They'll
like,
say they do again because it's all double speaking. It's all us. But when it comes down to it, like Trump's whole thing when he was president about he actually said to his advisors, "Can't we just shoot the protesters in the leg?" Do you think any of his supporters would have cared if, when all those protests were happening, he'd have turned the National Guard on?
No, they'd been happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I would love to believe that we live in a world full of goodness and kindness, and at people's base there's a level of empathy. But I think for most people that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I think
I don't know why I haven't worked on it, but I want to open my set by saying I believe in two things to my core. One, that people are good and loving and caring, and two, that I'm for sure wrong about that first thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to find a way, like you were just kind of saying that.
Yeah.
I want to find a way to say that in a way that's like, that works, you know?
I think when it comes to their own families, when it comes to their own, interpersonal groups.
I had that argument with the comic Mike Speenberg years ago. He was going on about like liberals this and liberal that, blah blah blah, and healthcare and all this same kind of stuff. And he goes, "I take care of me and my family." And I was like, "Yeah, so within your family, you're liberal. You just need to expand the definition of what your family is,
Right,
to include everybody, and then we're the same, you know."
But when you think about how
it's selfishness versus, I guess,
family is just a modern term for tribe. And
well, in my tribe, wouldn't I still have my family within my tribe? I still have my.
well, that's the idea of like the modern definition of a nuclear family: the father, the mother, the children, the grandparents. That idea of a nuclear family is something that's relatively new to humans in general.
Is it
It
really?
was always. It was never. I mean, because you couldn't survive if it was just if you were settling, new land, whatever. But it was always the group within the village, within the tribe.
That's true.
That was all, and they all raised their kids together. And like in most languages, the word for aunt and uncle is just other mom or small mom. Most Native American languages, it's small mom is the word for aunt. So it's the idea that it's not all within that tight group, or that it's just a nuclear family. That's very new. And now we live in a world where I genuinely don't know my next door neighbor's name on either side. And most people, I don't think, do.
I know one of them. A couple people have moved in.
Right. Right. Yeah, weirdos, right?
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, when one lady was moving in and she was chopping up some like barrier bushes and putting up a fence, and me and a couple other neighbors were standing in her backyard, and on her property.
Yeah.
And we're like, this lady's moving in, and I was like, and somebody, the other guys, what's her name? And I was like, I don't know. She told me, but I can't remember. It's something really like simple, like Pam or something, And then the lady that was standing there, she's one of the other neighbors, and he was like, I'm sorry, what's your name? And she looks over at me and she goes, Pam. And I was like, did I say it insulting? I just meant it was a simple name. So yeah, I didn't know her name. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I know.
Have you read J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy?
No, I don't even know who that is.
J.D. Vance is Trump's running mate.
Oh, this is why you're here. I don't even know these people. He's fucking got the carrot top fucking eye makeup thing going on. His eyes are
no,
weird.
no, that's Matt Gaetz.
These people.
That's not Matt Gaetz is a completely different. That's not.
Yeah,
Trump's
I know
running mate.
this guy,
Yeah.
the guy you're talking about. He had let his daughter sit on Trump's lap or whatever during the. That's a couple things I saw about the thing, and I was just like, why would you? What? Oh,
But J.D. Vance wrote this book called "The Whole Reason That He's on Trump's Ticket" is back in 2016. He went to Yale Law School, but he grew up in like rural Ohio, and his whole family is from the mountains of West Virginia. And
that's your people.
Like
we hate him.
Yeah. But his whole book is about the breakdown of like communities as families had to move to mill towns and all that kind of stuff. And his whole he basically blames all of the hardships in America to the fact that poor white people are lazy.
Oh,
That's actually one of the themes of his book is that they didn't
Basically.
used to be.
poor
That
white
they
people
used
didn't used to be lazy.
they used to be hardworking, but as time has progressed, because America has turned on its own people so much, that they now have no incentive to work hard anymore, and so that's why he's a conservative, because he blames welfare. His mom. This is the guy that's very likely going to be our vice president.
You think they're going to win?
Do I think Trump's going to win?
Yeah.
I think it's almost impossible that he's not going to.
He's lost the vote every time.
Right.
Since
Right. And look at the polls. He's not going to this time. He's going to probably win the popular vote by 12 million, 13 million.
No way.
For sure.
Dude, he has a history book photo now.
Who?
Trump.
Trump,
It looks
yeah.
like it's definitely going to be in the history books. Him holding his fist in front of the
Yeah.
flag. He's gonna win.
I don't think
Because he had one moment where he fucking stumbled around.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
the assassination attempt is going to be why he wins, because if any other politician, I think that would have pushed them over, but things with Trump have been so ridiculous since the moment he became a public political figure that that was just another piece of noise that I don't think is going to anybody else, like a normal politician who almost got assassinated. I think it would give them this massive swell of support and push them over. But because everything with Trump is so ridiculous and has been for so long, it really does feel like, think about how people reacted to when
I instantly
Reagan.
thought it was fake.
Yeah.
I instantly thought he staged it.
Right, I did too. That doesn't mean he did,
Right.
and I mean, bold move, Cotton, if he actually let somebody shoot at his head.
Yeah.
So you can't look at the stuff, and again, like these conservatives, when they're making all these arguments, you can't look at the evidence around that assassination attempt, and it is either the most incompetent Secret Service detail in the history of America since its inception.
Really? What about Reagan? They let him get pretty close. What about
all the good
He
ones
was
are
that was
protecting the
somebody with a
actual president,
handgun that snuck up into a crowd and
Okay.
got an arm through. This guy crawled on a roof. He carried a ladder and an AR-15 into a political rally, put the ladder up on a building, climbed up on the roof, set up his gun. This is with snipers, 3 different embedded snipers with his position in their sight line, and got off multiple shots. There's no way that's not, whether it was the Secret Service letting it happen or it was Trump's people staging something or whatever. There's no way that realistically happened by accident. They can't be that incompetent.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. It has been interesting to me to watch the conspiracy theories sort of fall into place based on what people decided before they started looking into the evidence. And I know a lot of these people from 9/11, sort of,
You're big in the conspiracy theory community.
and now as I watch it,
you're one of their leaders.
And now when I watch it sort of unfolding, I'm like, all you guys are you're finding the conspiracy that fits your narrative. Did I do that? Oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, you are Tomanon. It's like,
and I'm like, they're just like, oh yeah, I do that too. I just decide what the answer is and then find my way to prove it.
So you're a Trump supporter, or you're it's everybody does.
I think that people are going to vote for. I have hope. I think that people would vote for a flaming fucking bag of shit against Trump.
I hope you're right. I am willing to see. There is a possibility that there is going to be this. I mean, they raised $80 million in 24 hours after Biden dropped
That
out.
should be the proof that the economy's doing well. We're like, are you kidding me? Our economy's doing bad? Then how do all you broke fucking hillbillies afford $80 million in a day to give to economies?
No, $80 million to Kamala.
Oh,
Yeah. Which was so funny because the Trump people were The Trump people were bragging because after he got convicted, they raised $54 million in a day.
That's great.
Which was
How are you supporting any? How are you?
The small donors. These are all individuals. How many text messages have you ever given to a politician?
No.
I gave $20 to Obama in 2008, and I still get to this day, at least 12 text messages a day asking for political
Yeah, I
donations.
send back like nasty texts sometimes, like "fuck you, you support a criminal," or you know what I mean. Or
I don't get anything for Trump though. So their machine knows, like their AI knows that I'm not a conservative, which is crazy because I'm a middle-aged white dude that owns guns.
Yeah.
So,
and a motorcycle. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I am Serpico when it comes to I can get into their spaces.
You really could.
I do. I mean, I go to my family reunion, so it's.
Huh.
But it's. I mean, it's.
So 100. And there's no chance that they're going to come up decide on somebody else. They're not going to have any.
No, it is 100% Kamala. Everyone
See,
that
I think that's bullshit. Man.
Everybody
I
that
think
could have
that's
ran
bullshit.
against her,
Even if
I
she's
agree.
great, I think it's bullshit that they do that. I know they have to.
There was at this point there was literally no other option. Again, this goes back to the thing that my mom was saying is they're going to wait till they don't have time to pick anybody else other than Kamala.
Well, then he's the best actor in history.
Who?
Biden.
Now, I don't think any of this was his choice. Do you think he wants to not be president?
No, that's what I mean. Like
I think they came to him over the last week with poll numbers showing that he's down now in swing states by double digits to Trump, which he is.
How bad was Reagan? When did Reagan get bad?
Sometime in the 70s.
Oh, so yeah. No, I mean, when did it become obvious that was it never as obvious that he was in serious mental decline?
He never publicly looked as bad as Biden looked at that debate.
Yeah, that was I remember right when he walked out, I was like, oh,
Just watching Biden walk on stage at the debate, my wife and I were sitting on the sofa and we went, "Oh God."
Oh, that's same. He just
Cuz I watched the State of the Union with my mom and I was such a dick too. We were sitting there on the sofa watching it and Biden just nailed the State of the Union. It was great. And because my mom was like, he's not going to make, I don't know how he's going to make it down the aisle without falling.
right.
Because she'd been seeing all the he's so frail. And I was like, whatever. And then he went up there and he lit it up at the State of the Union. And my mom sat there and she was like, and I was like, yeah. Like the stuff you've been hearing, it's nonsense. He's fine. And then immediately, and I was, again, dead wrong. I was dead wrong.
Yeah, you were. I don't know why you're my expert, because you were dead wrong about Trump getting elected in the first place. You were like ready to throw money down, and like you were like, it's not going to happen.
16?
Yes.
No, in 2016, I was absolutely sure. I couldn't. Well, that again.
That gives me hope about your other statement about how he's for sure going to win.
Well, no, I nailed 2020. I've nailed the midterms.
Okay.
I like to think that Biden was like pretty normal brained until he sat down in the Oval Office for the first time. Like, he was like, oh boy, I get to finally be president.
I mean, I think he was probably, I think even now he's probably fairly normal brained. I think he's probably had a couple of strokes at his age. I mean, most
You do
people
not
his age.
have a
My mom
normal
has.
brain
My
after a few
mom has a hard time putting together sentences, but her brain's still intact. She's still, but she just, because she's had a couple of strokes, she trips over her words. She looks like an old person when she walks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We can't have a president, and this was one of the reasons back in 2020, I was like, we need somebody like Elizabeth Warren. We need somebody that doesn't look decrepit. And now it's so bad. I mean, it looked like a marionette. He was so stiff walking out. And then as soon as he started talking and tripping over his words, I was like, oh shit, Trump just won. Trump's barely spoken, and he just won the election. And
yeah, I don't think he was. I don't think until the assassination attempt, it was the same old. To me, it was just these people. I don't know how people can watch these people. I don't know. Like, the worst Democrat is better than the top 15. These people are scum. The fucking guy from Ohio, what's his name? That used to be involved with in the sports program and
yeah.
What's that guy's name?
What is his name?
Gaetz.
Gaetz is
The Marjorie Taylor Greene, the fucking girl from Colorado. This is their people. This is
their best.
Their best is fucking Hulk Hogan. That's. There's no ideas. They're awful. I don't understand how we keep losing to these motherfuckers. And I don't know why I say we, because I think the far right should be fucking the Clinton administration. You know what I mean? Like, that's
right.
That should be our right, and instead it's
and
not.
And in Europe it would be. But there's a difference between America but Europe's in a lot of places they're going hardcore right wing too. They just had a backlash, and a bunch of left wing groups got in power around Europe through European elections. So they just had their Obama election moment where there was some pushback finally, and the left's again in charge in England. The left's going to be in charge in France after multiple years. So there is some, the wave goes back and forth kind of thing. So right now, but I mean, there's an intense right-wing movement in Europe too, because of their own immigration stuff, where they've got so many people pouring in from.
Part of the reason this immigration is happening is because of what they denied for the last 30 years, which is climate change.
Right.
All the science has said, and the scientists have said, this is what's going to happen. This is coming, and a lot of it's due to climate. And they're like, that's not real. And now, when it's happening, they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, but you were wrong for 30 years, and now you're wrong again.
Yeah.
You're always wrong.
Yeah.
Stop fucking talking and voting for these idiots. They're wrong.
But the people that they're speaking to don't care about receding sea line.
Okay, why is Kamala not a good candidate?
Well, one, I think compared to Biden, she's probably going to be at least better. So I think it is an improvement. I think there's going to be a large groundswell of support that will come up around her. I'm not sure if it'll be enough for her to win, but
I know you don't. You're like of a different generation. So
Yeah.
my son sounds like James. He's like, Trump's going to win. It's over, right?
Yeah, he's definitely going to win. I think he's going to win. A lot of the time, whenever Democrats get someone, it feels like in high school when, like, the theater kids were like, yeah, we'll beat the jocks at this thing. And it's like, listen, you guys are cool and all, but they're going to win Powder Puff.
Right.
They're going to win. I'm sorry. And I'm not like, go jocks, but I'm also, you know what I mean?
I just, for some reason, I think most people vote.
I think that the people that think Kamala is going to win live in a completely different world than me. It's like, it's very, like, I'm not right wing, and I am not liberal. I don't know what I am.
But
progressive, I guess.
Do you vote, I didn't vote for Biden because I thought, man, this guy's going to be a great leader.
Yeah.
I voted for him because of the ideas and because he wasn't the other guy.
Same, yeah.
So I think that there's going to be a similar thing will happen. Like that, most people will be like, I'm voting against this guy and against this whole group of fucking slime ball.
Maybe
like,
you're right, yeah.
Like, right? So
he's not. To his support, to Trump supporters,
I don't care about
to
them.
moderates. They think Kamala's the slime ball. They think Biden's the slime ball.
Of course they do.
So,
but they lose every election. So why would they? What's different about this one?
Look, they don't lose every election.
Every national they win in all the states where they have gerrymandered the shit out of it and changed the rules and suppressed votes and all those kind of things. It's like
but they don't lose. As near most elections, they don't. Like Trump. Look at this. There's no way we have the Supreme Court we have if Republicans didn't win a lot of elections.
Why do you have a knife?
I don't know. It's just my pocket knife and it won't stay in my pocket.
It's like the worst fidget spinner ever.
Okay. Yeah. But they've literally lost the popular vote in every election but one since 1992.
Unfortunately, the popular vote doesn't decide who our president is. It doesn't. I wish it did, but it doesn't.
All right. Well, then they've won one election that they didn't steal. Even with the Electoral College. So even the majority of the people do not support.
There's a difference between the majority of the people that show up to vote and the way that elections.
All the conservatives show up to vote.
No, they don't.
Almost all of them.
My mom hadn't voted since the '60s until Trump ran.
Well, how about he's not getting any new supporters.
Yes, he is.
I'm sure he is.
He's getting so many supporters. So many people that didn't like him when he was president.
Like him now?
Yes, because they've spent the last 4 years paying double for milk. And they think that's Biden's fault. It's not. Most of our inflation is because of the crazy tariff stuff that Trump did when he was president. And the tariffs that Biden, by the way, didn't get rid of, which is part of why we have the inflation. But no, a lot of our economic stuff comes from the fact that he mismanaged so many things. And the same thing happened to Obama in his first term.
Is it really? Or part
Obama had to spend his first 4 years cleaning up
Yes.
Bush's messes.
That's what we do.
And
They
luckily
collapse the economy every time.
Every
they collapse the
single
economy, and then and then they create Democrats because everybody's poor. and then the Democrats get in office. They fucking dig us out of that hole, create an economy that starts rolling, and then they create Republicans, and they're like, I'm paying too much taxes, right? And then it comes back the other way. But it's in my entire lifetime, it's been economic sort of growth and prosperity during Democrat, and then the opposite when Republicans.
The last time,
every single
even
time.
the things that are a problem right now economically are due to how well for the rich the economy is going right now. Like that's look, the stock market's up 50% in the last 4 years. It was at around 20,000, and now it's over 30. Like the amount of.
It means if you had a 401k that had $200,000 in it or $180,000 in it 5 years ago or whatever, now it has.
Yeah, if you had 200,000, now you have 300,000.
It just doesn't make sense to me how like the Wall Street and that stuff can be summed up. It's up 50%. That doesn't make. It feels like it should be more complex than that.
But if you
think it is.
it is more complex than that, other than the fact that the Dow Jones is what the Dow Jones is, which is most people are in index funds. Most people invest, they buy index funds, which are an amalgamation of the things in the Dow Jones. So if the Dow Jones goes from, if you've got 200,000 4 years ago, today you have $300,000 worth of shares. And so if you sell those shares today, you have 50% more money than you would have had if you sold them 4 years ago.
But who's gonna? I just don't get who buys them. Like they're just like, oh, it's a good time to sell. Then who's the idiot who's like, I'm gonna buy? I just don't. It's just fucking someone else. I don't get it.
But it's not exactly fucking somebody else because there's always new people buying in. So it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much of inflation is due to just out of everybody's hands, and it's just because they've printed more money that's based on nothing?
Well, that's part of it. But inflation is good. Inflation. It sucks for poor people.
Yeah.
But you do not pay off World War II without a massive inflation hike, which is what happened in the 50s and 60s. Like when my grandma was a kid, you could go to the movies and buy a popcorn and a drink for $0.25. Then by the time she was in her 30s, it was $5 to go and buy a ticket. And that was within a span of 20 years because we had to have this massive inflation to pay off all that debt. Right now, because of 2008, what happened economically, because of COVID, we had massive amounts of, like literally doubling of the national debt to pay off these crisis situations. Now we have to have massive inflation so that those debts are manageable. That's Bilderberg level sick, gross, but it's also the only reality for how you pay off that level of debt.
When your system is imaginary, you have to keep fucking doubling down on it.
Yeah, money is only worth the value of our military.
Of our military?
Yeah. Because the only thing that guarantees our currency is our ability to go in, and anybody that tries to make their currency the currency of the world, we kill.
Is that our policy?
What was Saddam Hussein gonna do right before we finally killed him?
Weapons of mass destruction, baby.
He was going to switch away from the U.S. dollar as the way of paying for oil. If China ever stops accepting U.S. dollars, then we'll go to war with China. That's
okay.
I mean, that's the only thing that backs our money is our ability to anyone who tries to. If Europe tried to make the euro the currency of the world, then we would go to war in Europe.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to take your word for that. I don't even know
I don't know
what
like,
that means.
I was thinking the other day, people were like, "Oh, there's gonna be a civil war or whatever." I don't know if there's like, I don't think they would allow a civil war to happen because then who would go to Walmart?
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's like greed.
They'll just
comforted
drop a
me
new
that there
app.
wouldn't- Yeah.
You think
Like, literally
You think
a
greed
new-
is going to stop us from having war? That's an interesting.
Yeah.
There's a reason that around the time we elected our first black president, Farmville was huge. Like it's
What do you mean?
huge distractions
Oh,
to get people
The
to
recession.
the entire
dude.
country. Like we were literally in the biggest economic collapse since the Depression in '08, and so they introduced Farmville, and everybody that was out of work sat there and played Farmville for 6 straight months.
yeah. I never
And
got
got
into
rid-
Farmville.
Oh my! Everybody. I mean, so it was like
It was yeah.
I was a
everywhere.
Mob Wars guy.
yeah, same difference.
Yeah,
But no, it's
it was just clicking like a mouse on nothing.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, oh, I need to go update my Mob Wars. Was the Farmville thing the same thing? Just click on-
basically you had to constantly go in and plant new crops and. Then
I wonder
wait.
if anybody's sticking like is really
Somebody
hanging in
out
there
there's got one. I don't think it works anymore, but I mean, look at we've all raised our kids now to just obsessively play like
It's
first
like a
person
dust
shooters.
bowl in
so.
Farmville now.
Yeah. That's if we have a civil war. It's a good. The good thing is our kids have enjoyed and have trained killing each other for.
Only if they've
years.
got AI robots that they can control drones to style, which is coming. That'll be there soon, anyways. But imagine how good our soldiers are going to be when our children are the one controlling them by remote control.
Why would they need to control them? Why can't they just?
Because these kids are so good that they're beating the AI.
Oh, that's are they really?
Yeah.
No, they're not. That's crazy.
Yeah. You have to think about like how many hours a day these kids sit there playing Fortnite and Halo.
Yeah.
Like the second that can be translated into an actual robot that's walking around,
Yeah.
we're gonna have these kids are gonna be complaining because they can't. Their robots are too slow.
My buddy Bowers has an interesting theory that once AI takes over, it's just gonna wipe out all the dumb people, right, or the bad people, because we've spent 20 years uploading all of our information and stuff onto
Yeah.
the internet. So as soon as AI has access to it all, it's just gonna know everybody enough to be like, all right, that's a shitty person, that's a shitty, cut off their food supply.
One of the core programs of AI is profit. They're not gonna. They're gonna be.
Oh, same thing with him. They're the
Yeah.
Walmart shoppers.
Yeah. AI needs dumb humans to go out and keep the power lines up.
So there's no shot of it being anybody but Kamala, and
Right.
And what's her record? Why can't she stand on like the issues and the record of the last 4 years? Like
She kept
you're so
some guy
confident
on
that
death row that should have been.
Okay.
That was exonerated. She held evidence to some guy that was on death row that could have exonerated him, so they're using that against her. She, she wasn't the most effective prosecutor in the world. She did okay, but she, it's.
so why are they so confident that she can win? Do they have the same philosophy as me that a bag of shit could beat Trump, or do they? What makes the Democrats so sure that she can win?
They
then?
didn't. They just think Biden can't, and she's a better chance than Biden.
She had a better chance than Gavin Newsom or
It's
the governor of Kentucky or whatever, or like these people that are some of the other people that are in the Jeffries and these,
they weren't willing to leave it to a primary to decide. Again, this is the right wing conservative take on this, not my take on it. But the right wing conservative take is that the liberal elites weren't willing to trust it to a primary, so they kept Biden in the race so nobody would contest him, since he was the sitting president, which they didn't, and then they were going to pull him out after it was too late for there to be an alternative like Gavin Newsom or Bernie or Elizabeth Warren or somebody that's not going to buy into corporate democratic power structure.
you're right, they're going to lose.
Probably. Unfortunately. I hope not. I'm certainly going to send my $20 to Kamala or $50 or
Well,
whatever.
that's what I mean. You haven't told me one reason to support her. Like you're just like she's going to lose. She's terrible. Like what?
Right.
But you're going to send her money anyway.
I mean, hope's a wonderful thing. I hope she wins. It's not.
What does she have to run on then?
What does she have to run on?
Yeah.
The same
She's
thing
not
every
the
other
other-
Democrat has to run on. The idea that she's not a monster. And it's not just that guy's horrible. It's that all those guys are horrible.
They really are.
They really are.
And it's a reflection of you. Not that you're watching.
Right.
But it's a reflection of them. These people have such low character. They're not good human beings.
Yeah.
They're criminals. They're greedy. They're shitty, and you keep voting for them. It's a reflection of how terrible your character is.
Well, that's one of the things that's
You know what I'm
funny
saying?
about, like, my mom doesn't like Matt Gaetz. My mom doesn't like Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she likes the Mark Robinsons. She likes Tim Scott. She likes.
They're terrible.
But
The first time I saw a commercial from yesterday, I thought it was a sketch. I was like,
Yeah.
did he just say, women, you have no control of your body, and it's your fault that you got pregnant because you didn't keep your legs? That's a guy that's running for governor?
That's the guy that
said that out loud?
He's
Like,
going to be our governor. He's going to be the governor of North Carolina.
how?
Because he's going to win by a landslide.
Don't we have a guy that keeps winning because
Roy Cooper's, but he can't run again. Roy Cooper is one of the 5 finalists to be Kamala's running mate, though. The guy that's our lieutenant governor that said all those things, he won very easily when he ran for lieutenant governor, and he's going to win the governor.
what happened to this state?
It had a temporary blip where it wasn't like one of the core, most bigoted places in America, and now it's just reverting back to what it always was, which is the entire South.
This is why I don't like paying attention to the world. The world is so much better when I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah, that's
James, come in and tell me about the world.
I know. Like,
Keep going.
I thought there was going to be like
spank
more
me, Daddy, spank me.
Yeah, you really like. Maybe I can get a climate scientist to come in. I've stopped ignoring that really too, so I
Yeah.
can feel better about
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
All right.
Look, I 100% hope. If I was gonna roll it as odds, when I say there's no chance Trump's gonna lose, 70% chance. If we're really mathematical about it, it's probably 65-70% chance Trump wins.
I've just been in a fucking living in a fantasy where I'm just like, nah, he's not gonna. They have to see that this guy is a fucking scumbag. Like,
I am hoping people revisit Kamala, and because right now her approval rating's only a point or two higher than Biden's.
that's all. That's fine.
Right.
Just go out and start talking. This is
Yeah.
why you play your second string.
Yeah.
This is why the Falcons
they
need
kept
to.
her hidden.
This is why the
for 3.5
Falcons need to
years.
play Penix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when the other guy, when Cousins goes down,
Yeah.
he's got some experience. They should have had her out there doing
Cousins
some
not even on that team
leadership
anymore.
for the last
Yeah.
4 years. Run this thing. Like,
Well, they did. They put her in charge of some immigration stuff, and
no, that
didn't
worked
go
good.
great.
That's
That's why Trump's calling her the
Shit.
immigration czar. Is because she wasn't actually in charge of the border. What he put her in charge of is going around to countries that have immigrants coming in, trying to cut deals to help keep some of those people
oh yeah,
in their countries.
they have some. Neil comes on. He's like,
Yeah.
one of the things we need to do to stop immigration is to help other countries
Right.
build up their economies so that people
Right.
Well,
Well, that's what
stay
she
there.
was in charge of, and it didn't go well. So but that's why Trump is already calling her the immigration czar and saying that all the border stuff is on her.
Okay.
It's not true, but it's an easy thing to say to discredit her.
All right. Well, I'm not having you back. This is your last time on the show.
Good, thank
That's
God.
awful.
No, like I said, I hope that people will give Kamala Harris a second look and that we're going to see a massive shift in the polls and she's going to jump up by 5 or 6 points ahead of Trump. That is a possibility. There's 30% chance of that, I would say, probably 30%, that enough people are going to go, oh. Because it's also partially about the turnout margin. If 55% of people go out and vote, then Trump wins. If it gets up to around 60%, Kamala wins. If it gets up to 65%, it's like the way 65% turnout of registered voters. Then it ends up being like Obama's win. And if it gets up to 70%, then that's when you get up to like 60 seats for the Democrats in the Senate. It's just about turnout. And Biden wasn't going to turn out anybody. So many people were just not going to show up.
So
Just because they couldn't see a difference between, which is crazy, but to moderates, they couldn't see a genuine difference between
Does she have any of like? I know people also don't like Newsom, but I feel like I've watched him for a year, just kicking everybody's ass. Like every time he talks to one of these idiots,
He's the governor of California.
Okay.
Like, that's the worst possible place to select a moderate, and nobody wins the presidency if they're not the more moderate of the two candidates. The more moderate.
To me, it's just about expressing. He has a Clinton-ness about him that he seems to be able to break down big ideas and have all the facts at like the opposite of Biden. He has all the facts like right here, and he just pummels them with
that anymore. That's why they love Trump, is because he's not that old school politician that can stand there and give the piffy talking points and do the thumb thing. You know, that is so not trusted in this country anymore. That's why we ended up with Trump. That's why we end up is they loathe that type of politician. The ones that are super polished and like those guys are hated. Newsom, I think Newsom would probably lose worse than Biden, only because they would show videos of the homeless people in San Francisco and the homeless people in L.A. and they'd be like, "Look, do you want America to look like this?"
America already does look like that,
right? But not
the pictures.
L.A. looks pretty rough right now compared to where it looked even 10 years ago.
Okay,
but they're also about to, on the ballot, the people of California are actually going to vote to change some of that. So I don't think it's going to be quite as bad. Like even people in California are like, we've gotten a bit too liberal. So.
Why don't we make a compromise where we build a border wall out of homeless people? We build like a homeless encampment wall.
Did you hear that was one of Trump's ideas was not only build the wall, but also build a moat along it and fill it with alligators? That's actually one of his proposals that he tried to get members of his cabinet
create a
to
lot
get on
of
board.
jobs. You got to feed the alligators. You got to,
Well, with immigrants.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was his thought.
Yeah.
Same thing with the. Oh, one of the other things that came out. Did you know when they were trying to negotiate with the Taliban? Because he brought Taliban leaders. Trump brought Taliban leaders to the White House. There was this moment that a bunch of the right wingers are selling as like this, like Trump was such a badass. So this is how the story initially got out. That they brought over these Taliban leaders, right? And Trump had them in the White House, and he came in and he said, "Look, we want to get out of Afghanistan. We do. But if a single American dies in the process, I'm going to kill you." And the translators looked at him and were like, "What?" And he said, "No, tell them." And so they translated perfectly to them. And then he pulled out of his pocket a satellite image of the negotiators, the Taliban negotiators' homes, and handed them to him and walked out of the room.
That's pretty cool.
That is, except for the fact that that they wasn't their houses.
Oh.
They had the wrong.
Still though, but I mean,
like that would have been pimp as shit. And that's the way a lot of the right wingers were telling the story that were in the room. But then it turns out it's the fact that those guys the negotiators walked out and laughed because it wasn't their houses. So what?
That's not Trump's fault. Those people.
A picture of a wedding. And,
yeah. But yeah, it's not.
And,
It's like that. What a badass thing for Trump to have done. Except for the fact that he just rushed it. Last minute, he told them, "I need pictures of their houses," and his intelligence people got best case guess of where they thought those guys might live and gave them to him because they didn't know he was going to do that.
Right.
So.
Oh wow.
So he just looked like an asshole because he showed them pictures of because they were like, "Whose house is this? Like, what is this?"
It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Oh, you guys have Google Maps too?
Yeah, I don't like Jimmy. That guy. I have a little fence dispute with that guy.
But like, what a pimp moment had it been their actual houses, but it just wasn't. And so they just left laughing at hoe.
All right, we got to go. Don't you have an appointment?
I do.
Are you already late for it?
No, it's at 1:50.
Oh, we got time.
Okay. So yeah. So now let's talk hopeful. Let's talk positive. There is a chance that people are going to revisit Kamala. She's going to get a huge groundswell support, which she's already getting a huge amount of money pouring in, and that people will go, because whenever they polled Kamala versus Trump, it was always with people going, yeah, but Biden's running. So maybe her numbers are going to go way up because now she is the candidate. And so people are like, well, we got to get behind her. So that is possible. And if that happens, she'll win.
The Democratic base is going to vote for, like I've said, they'll vote for a bag of shit.
Yeah.
So they're going to get behind her, and
Right.
they're going to talk about the record of the Biden administration. You know, they're going to have that, and like you said, it's going to need to be the other people. And I just
It's a turnout game.
but
And
they
people
turned
weren't
out for
gonna
Biden the second when he came. You know,
right,
so,
but that was because Trump was in office, and the existential nightmare that was people. It's been 4 years. People don't remember what the news. They're not thinking about what the news was every day. They're Republicans. Every Republican I am friends with online started using the "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" thing. And they're like, yeah, we were in the height of a pandemic lockdown. You couldn't leave your fucking house.
Yeah,
Everybody was on unemployment. Like it was, and they're that clueless, and that disconnected from just in a span of 4 years about what things were like when Trump was president, that they are dumb enough to make that argument. It's like, no, everybody is better off than they were 4 years ago because you can leave your house. You can see your mom without wearing a mask.
But somehow that, like I had a guy yesterday tell me, he's like, because the Democrats they fumbled the way COVID was handled. I was like, do you not remember who was in charge?
Right.
Like, and they were like, yeah, but it was the Democrats who did the mask mandates and blah blah blah. No, like schools were and shut down the schools. I mean, schools shut down before the ships. Like they were like,
right.
Like our president did this, and it was
Right.
like, well, then we were mask mandates. We're all liberal, blah blah. I'm like, well, I mean. That is kind of true, but they were our leader was a liar and a con man, and nobody could trust him. So we were trusting Don Lemon,
spent 4 months saying it was going to vanish.
Yes,
like Trump, like the number of deaths in America, especially in the red states that opened up sooner, like Florida. So much higher than where they actually controlled it properly, like in European countries. The death rate from COVID in America, so much worse.
Because of them.
Because of the way that, one, Trump was telling people it wasn't a problem. Trump was saying that, the messaging was so mixed. It was so all over the place.
But
that
people
it was way worse
genuinely
here.
believe taking they didn't need to take the vaccines. They shouldn't have taken them. They don't know. Then they've got long COVID. They've got all the things because of the vaccine. The vaccine didn't work. But
we would have.
How is that?
If the vaccine hadn't come out, we would have had something more along the lines of 30 million dead people versus the about 2 million. Without
you think it's that? Do you think it's that drastic of a number?
Yeah, it is.
Because I think the general narrative now is we made a huge mistake wearing masks and taking vaccines.
Of course, but that's always the case. The argument of what you didn't see is always the case. Because up until the vaccine came out, 1% of people that contracted COVID died. It was, and again, it didn't affect kids nearly as much. People,
it seems pretty low.
But 1% of people, but that's 30 million people if everybody in America had gotten COVID without being somewhat protected by the vaccine. That means we would have had 30 million dead people. But we didn't because they got the vaccine out. And honestly, Trump's greatest accomplishment as president was how quickly they got it out. And they got it to people. And he can't take credit for that because his supporters all think that's the one thing they criticize him for, is the fact that he went along with Fauci.
Yeah, but my limited understanding on that is all they did was change the rules of the MMR vaccines or whatever they are, the new vaccine way they're doing which isn't technically a vaccine, but whatever,
right.
But that science has been around and they've been pushing to make let's do them this way, let's fight diseases this way, and it just hasn't been able to get past that. And all they did was eliminate that barrier, and then that's part of what made the vaccine.
Well, also, and they got it through the FDA.
Well, that's
and
what I mean.
What normally would have taken 7 years to get approved, they did in under a year. Which is, I mean, the only thing Trump deserves credit for is the fact that he said no, get it done, get it. He agreed to go along with it, but he can't use that to run. It's his only real accomplishment that he could genuinely take credit for, because had he wanted to block it, he could have blocked it. Had he actively stepped forward and said, don't get the vaccine out, make it go through the old process.
What did the rest of the world do?
the rest of the world, as soon as we got it and they started getting it, they just did the same thing. But we had it first. Our companies, but it was a joint effort between like Pfizer and Moderna and those companies. They were in Europe and they were in the United States working on it, and they were switching info and all that kind of stuff. But
Right. So it was all approved by everybody at the same time.
Yeah,
It wasn't just because we did.
right. I mean, but
the
it
other
wouldn't-
countries would have approved
But it
if
wouldn't
we
have
didn't.
happened had we not thrown, what was it, $7 billion into that research?
Where'd that $7 billion come from?
We wrote a check.
Oh, okay. So inflation causes inflation?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, think about how much worse inflation is because all those people that lived. Had we lost 30 million people, inflation would be way down.
Oh, man.
I mean, but that was what the number was. 1% of people that got COVID died.
How'd your video do on the back porch? You went back out on the back porch again.
I just sort of, I don't know. Let's look and see.
James used to go out on the back porch and rant.
And
right?
I would
And
get
get
like
millions of
5,
views.
6, 7 million views on the videos.
Wow.
I don't
stop doing it.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't need fans.
yeah. I like boats now.
You're right. But couldn't they? Did they pay for that boat with the 5-6 million ones that you would get? Did they ended up paying for the boat? No
More
one?
than paid for it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So why would
The
you
boat-
stop doing it? You just don't need money anymore?
I don't know. It didn't seem fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
just to bitch about the world all the time. It does make you. It does.
No, like that's if you ever have something go really viral like that, when it's actually happening for the couple of days that it's really going nuts, it feels pretty good. And then the second, because when you see, holy shit, 1 million views, 2 million, and then the next day I got 2 million views in just a day, so now it's 4 million views, and and then the second that shifts to now I only got 1 million views today, feels gross and sad.
You're like, oh, I'm embarrassed that I didn't.
I only got 1 million, and then when it's only 500,000 today, and then afterwards you're just like, ugh, and it's super exciting as it's going, but then when it comes down, it feels gross. It's the only way to do it was, like I said to you 1 million times, it's a trick. Yeah. It's a trick to do it. You just catch the news cycle as it's breaking. You make you get in there, you do something super tight. It's got to start with something right out of the gate that immediately grabs their attention. It's about turning them over super quickly. It was like, even with this, us talking about all the Kamala stuff, like I said to you, I was like, if we do this and this sits in the can for 2 or 3 weeks, it's not going to do well. But if we had gotten together Sunday night, immediately recorded a podcast and put it up, and been that night cutting the clips up, then we'd probably have 7 or 8 clips that would each be getting, 10, 20, 50, 100,000, 800,000, 1 million views.
Really?
Had we done it that
what
way.
section of this would have been a clip?
Who knows? I mean, you've said like 5 different things that had they come out that night. And we would
Oh.
also been approaching it different too. But yeah, no, it's doing that kind of stuff. It's just not that hard to make. Literally I did 25 of those videos. 1 in 5 cleared at least 1 million, and 5 of them, I think, exceeded 5 million views.
And it was because a couple things. One, because of the timing of it. 2, because you were saying things. You were basically saying the popular thing.
Not necessarily the popular thing, just the attention grabbing thing.
Okay. Should they make Kamala? Should they make her president now, so that she has that advantage going in?
The only problem with doing that to me is that if she screws even if she doesn't screw something up, the Republicans will find something to say she screwed up, like the same way with Biden with the Afghanistan withdrawal. Like they dumped on him like he somehow completely botched the withdrawal from Afghanistan. There was no right way to do it. It was never going to happen peacefully.
Right. Would there be advantages to her being the president now?
I mean, I think to some people, but I don't think it's going to help her. The more she can distance herself from Biden, the better.
Why would she? Again, they've accomplished things with this terrible Senate and Congress. They've been able to accomplish things. They've been able to pass the infrastructure bill. They've been able to try to. They've worked their ass off to try to
But
get
the infrastructure bill is also contributing to the massive inflation. because
they printed money.
Well, they printed money and they rounded up 5 million people and started paying them $60 to $80 an hour that weren't going to have a job otherwise, or they weren't going to have a job paying that well. And then all those people are spending money. Inflation. Like, that's how inflation works.
Okay.
So part of the inflation, it is. But we also had to fix the roads. Like, there's always going to be inflation when there is any level of economic prosperity.
Okay.
That's how inflation works. Like, it's.
So if she was if they made her president now, would that cost her a term?
No,
would she be able
because Johnson took over after Kennedy got assassinated, then ran and got reelected and could have run again, but chose not to.
Oh, so you could do could.
So no, she could run twice.
Huh? Carter could have run again this whole time? Huh?
Yeah, at any point Carter could have run, and he would have. I mean, he would have lost to
anybody.
He would have never won a primary, but because he was actually a good person. The only
I
person
thought you were making an old person joke, Tom. Like Carter could run right now.
Well, he's still younger than Biden.
Yeah. No, he's. Yes.
You know who is younger than Biden? Bill Clinton.
He can't run again.
No, think about that though. Bill Clinton was president in the 90s, and he is younger than Joe Biden.
Is that? I never even really thought about that. Even he looks too old now.
He's still getting his dick hard, though, I'm sure.
I had to say that. Huh?
Of course.
All right. Well, so who does she do as a vice president?
It's got to be. I would guess it's gonna be Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Is probably the best option. What's his name from Arizona? What's the governor in Arizona's name? I think it's Arizona. He's it's got to be one of the swing states. It's not going to be Gretchen Whitmer, though I wish it was.
Because they don't want to have two women on the ticket?
Yeah, even though I think that would actually help.
He's like a comedy club owner. He's like, we already have a woman on the calendar.
Like, a lot of people are saying it would hurt, but I think that would be even more motivating if there were two women on the ticket. I think that would actually get people excited and would help with turnout, but who knows? So I think it would be a good thing, but a lot of people disagree. But, yeah, there's the guy from Pennsylvania, Shapiro, Roy Cooper, North Carolina.
Katie Hobbs is the governor of Arizona.
Who?
Katie Hobbs.
Is it New Mexico or the Senate? Who is it? It's somebody from one of the.
I don't know. I asked you.
I'm trying to remember who it is, but that's one of the. But yeah, Shapiro is pretty big. The Democrat governor of Kentucky, is another option.
Yeah.
He's really popular even among
Bashir.
conservatives. Yeah. So there are options.
Would he have been a better choice to you as the presidential candidate?
Nobody knows. He's zero name recognition.
He's a kid.
His name recognition is so low that probably not. Like, that's why Harris.
I still think the ideas thing is going to win. Because I don't think the majority of people are Trump supporters. I think,
It's not that people. It's not so much that people are Trump supporters as they see who's in power and they think it's their fault and they're going to the grocery store and shit's twice as expensive and their rate pays didn't go up. Like, the idea that you can win an election as the party in power when we've had the economic situation that's been going on for the last 4 years is nearly impossible to imagine.
Do you think that people invest in the stock market, like we were just talking with Seth about, and their 401k is going up, that they're contributing to their own gas prices and they're contributing to their own because they're profiting off of their own overspend. Their inflation is basically causing profit for them in their stock thing. Right. And they're like, oh, my stock's going up, but fuck Biden, I'm paying fucking twice as much for my milk. Meanwhile, the fact that you're paying twice as much money for your milk is why your stock is going up.
Right.
Because they're making more money. So you're fucking yourself. I've always thought that. Like, that for somehow I'm broke because I would never invest in the stock market because I was like, all I'm doing is investing in shitty things happening to me. You know,
Well,
I'm
had
investing in cutting my own benefits. I'm investing in me making less and less and less in the real world so that the companies can profit. So I'm cutting my own throat by investing in this.
Yeah, but
that's how I felt about it.
If you had around the time you started comedy, if you'd have put like
Of course,
50,
I'd be rich.
If you'd have put $50,000 in the stock market, just $50,000, then you'd be sitting on $500,000 right now.
Okay.
But you know,
Yeah, instead I'm not.
right. But you paid your house off.
Yeah, my house is paid off. Yeah. But I also
That's such a horrible economic choice.
No, it's not.
It absolutely is. Because if you'd have taken the money that you were spending to pay your house off and just invested that money, then right now you would have 3 times the value of your house in stocks.
Maybe. I looked at it as I have a $150,000 loan. Once I pay this back over 30 years, I'm going to have paid $320,000.
Right.
And the house will be worth whatever.
Well, right now your house is
It
already
just
worth
feels like a
400,000.
trick, the stock market. Like
It's
feel
all
like
a trick.
There was a point where people were like, all right, you get paid based off your work and your hard work. You get this. And then one guy was like, actually, if I do this. And it's like he's just a fucking dork who didn't want to do anything. And then now that's how you make money. That's what it feels like to me. And I'm a caveman.
That's why you're not rich.
Yeah.
But also the money that the stock market rounds up is also what paid for us to have airlines and flight and trains and a power grid. And so, you know, money's not only bad, it's also the reason we all have smartphones.
Right.
It's also the reason all the medicine, like most of the things that
most of the growth and inventions
Can we get that
and
without
better
child
things.
slavery though?
Nope.
No. One of the trade-offs, dude.
Look,
Yeah.
the United States used to be China. The United States was the country where Europe made everything here, and that's why we had all these factories, is that it was low-wage workers.
I never thought of it that way.
And that's what built us up, and we opened up all these factories to make towels and textiles, and Europe was getting cheap textiles. They were getting
rebuild
cheap.
after the war machine rolled
Well,
through
yeah,
there.
not just the war, all the way back into like the 18 whatevers, you know. So we allowed Europe to become a financial powerhouse so they could finance World War I and World War II. That's where because they were buying cheap goods from us.
Okay.
That's how they were able to make their big war machines, is in part buying cheap goods from us. And then we rose up, and then we all got too big for our britches, and now none of us want to work in factories anymore, and we want cheap goods now. So now we have it all made in China, and so we're just raising China up. And so, but we're eventually going to run out of places to move the factories to.
And they're going to bring it, so they'll have to come back to where all the
No,
places are.
like the bots will just, everything will be automated by then. And that is what Karl Marx predicted, and that's why eventually the whole world's going to go to communism. And
Every sentence you say gets gloomier and gloomier.
I told you, literally everything economically that's happening right now with AI, with all of it, I told you 15 years ago, and you said, no, it won't. There'll just be new jobs.
There have been. There's still going to be new jobs.
Everything that's happened economically, I told you 15 years ago. Everything that we're dealing with right now, and you said it was all not. You know it won't. You were sure it wouldn't happen.
No, I was sure. I was sure what wouldn't happen.
You were sure that we wouldn't have mass inflation. You were sure that AI and
That's
technology.
That's not true about. I didn't think we wouldn't have inflation. I've
You said we wouldn't.
We're going to have to keep printing money out of nowhere. That's backed by, and it's going to continue to have inflation.
You were arguing against the Fed. You were doing all that.
So I'm still arguing against the Fed,
which is ridiculous. Arguing against the Fed is literally the equivalent of arguing against the basics, kernels, and structures of our entire society.
Oh, that's what I am arguing against.
Hey, cool. If you want to, hey man, if you want to go to not having running water, if you want to go to not having electricity,
then we have to get rid of the Fed.
Yes, because they back everything.
Sounds like they're holding us for ransom.
They are. They absolutely are. No one like this. It's not. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying that if you got rid of it, it would be a much worse thing because we would instantly turn into the worst parts of Mexico, the worst parts of Haiti, the worst. take all these people and take away the money that they're getting from their corporate overlords to work. That money vanishes, and we are just as bad off as Haiti. We are just as bad off as the worst parts of Mexico. The worst,
Yeah.
They are our masters, and unfortunately, we are dependent on them.
Well, I can tell. I hate that. They should have a country called.
I'm just going to keep getting darker and darker.
They should have
until Tom's going to kill himself tonight.
They should have a country called Lovey.
The
opposite of Haiti.
I don't like the Fed at all. I don't like any of it, but it's what we've got.
Yeah.
And if you get rid of it and tried to actually back our currency with something like gold, which is also worthless, it's just a shiny rock. Its only intrinsic value is the fact that it doesn't conduct electricity all that much. Like but there's no actual value in shiny rocks as our value for our money either. Our military is way more valuable than all the gold in the world because that's what props it up. That's what keeps all those other countries in line.
Yeah. I just think we're doing it all wrong. That's all. I mean, it's very simple. Like, I just think we're doing it all wrong.
What's the better
I don't
option?
have an alternative. I'm just saying we're doing it all wrong.
How do we fix the system, Tom?
I like Bitcoin.
What's better?
I like Bitcoin's fair. Bitcoin's fair economically. It eliminates a lot of waste.
So many rich people have bankrupted middle class and poor people in the last 5 years with Bitcoin that it's hilarious because so many people poured money into Bitcoin to falsely inflate it up, and then it blew up and then immediately got yanked out from under them. And it was just rich people stealing.
It's at an all-time high right now. And it will continue.
Again.
And it will continue.
Everything's at an all-time high right now.
That's a good point. But the point, Bitcoin gains money the more they print money. It becomes worth more because there's only so much of it and blah blah blah. So it's the balance to the fake money. Like the more they print money, the more obviously that makes
until somebody unplugs the computer.
Yeah.
Like none of it has any value. None of it has any actual value other than the value that we assign it.
Right.
Just like gold only has value because gold sat in riverbeds for millions of years, worthless until people pulled it out of the river and decided this shiny rock is valuable.
I thought that was because the Anunnaki came down, and that's why we're here. They put us here as slaves to mine the gold.
Yeah. So to power their spaceships.
Yes. Yes.
Are you a Scientologist now?
Have you heard about Leviathan waking up at Antarctica?
I hope so.
Huh?
I hope so.
I was on I had like a 3 or 4 day run on TikTok where it was a lot of Leviathan, and the dragon is waking up in the ocean.
Well, according to even right-wing congressmen, Biden's dead. Did you see that?
No.
A bunch of even elected Republicans are saying we need to see proof of life of Biden.
See, these people are insane. I saw a thing about Kamala's birth certificate. Where's her birth certificate? I saw that as a thing.
Well, that's the new birther thing, though, is her parents. Her mom was Jamaican. Her dad is Indian, or maybe it's reverse that. I've met her parents, but like her parents, neither of her parents were born in America, and so they're claiming the new birther argument is that she can't be president because she's not a naturalized citizen because neither of her parents were citizens when she was born, which isn't at all what the Constitution says.
Where
the 14th Amendment says she was born in the United States.
And she's a citizen.
Right, according to the 14th Amendment, but they're arguing that the clause in the Constitution that says you have to be a natural-born citizen and what it meant when the Constitution was written, which meant both of your parents had to
Okay, well then let's go back to what they meant with the Second Amendment, you fucking jackasses.
Right. But the 14th, that's why they're called amendments, is as soon as the 14th Amendment came, it changed the old stuff in the Constitution. Like people are fucking idiots that they're like, no, it's literally they're talking about the first 10 amendments. The Second Amendment isn't original to the Constitution. It's an amendment. It was added later.
The first 10 were added immediately, right?
That's why they're called amendments.
Came down off Mount Sinai.
Well, they were a part of the approval of the Constitution process.
They were just been in the Constitution.
Huh?
The Bill of Rights was added after the Constitution was written. That's why they're called amendments.
But after the Constitution was approved by the states, the Constitution was approved by the states without the Bill of Rights.
Right.
You're going 100% on that?
100%.
Say it again.
The Constitution.
They wouldn't have been amendments.
I thought that they had to add the amendments in order to get the number of states to approve it. Like the process was, they wrote the Constitution, and then it had to be
approved it, and the country was established as a country, and then
they were added after
Right.
it went through all the voting process. What do they call that?
ratification.
They went through the ratification part. Then they added the Constitution, and then they went back and
added 10.
Why would they do that?
Because people were like, "Oh, we don't have."
I thought they added it in order to get it approved.
No, it was already approved. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called amendments. It would just be the Constitution. Because everything that's in the Constitution up to the First Amendment was the initial approved Constitution of the United States. And then they did 10 amendments. I think
Did they have to
did
go
all 10 at
back
once.
through the ratification process for all the amendments after they'd have already ratified?
Mhm.
Did any of the states not ratify the Bill of Rights?
There are a handful of states that still haven't ratified some of the amendments in the Constitution, like I think the voting, like some voting stuff.
Oh, sure. Of course they have.
Yeah.
Let me guess what states those are.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that guy's our lieutenant governor. And you think he's gonna win the governorship?
I hope not, but I would say him winning is 50-50 because of everybody starting to see the clips of him saying stuff like women should keep their knees together. And I think I hope
That's crazy.
I hope he's not going to be our governor. I think he's less likely to win North Carolina than Trump is. Just because Trump's.
You don't think Trump's going to win North Carolina?
No, I think Trump's going to win North Carolina.
Of course.
But I think the same way Roy Cooper won despite Trump winning, like a Democrat won our governorship while also we voted for Trump as a state. I didn't. You didn't.
Right.
But so I'm hoping that guy won't be our governor, but it's at least 50-50, if not better, that he's going to be.
So now that you have your boat, are you going to pay attention and be wrapped up in this for the next 6 months?
No, I'm just going to keep focusing on the boat so I can get the fuck out of here.
What do you mean get the fuck
I'm making a boat that I can cross
boated
oceans
today.
What?
Get out and boat.
Yeah. Fuck vote. It's time to boat.
Yeah.
I am literally refitting an escape valve.
An escape valve?
Yeah, I can hop on that bitch and get the fuck out of here if Trump gets back in office.
You will not.
I want to bet.
Are you going to take your kids and leave the country?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are you going to go?
I'll start off in the Caribbean and then probably Europe or the French Polynesia.
Is your wife on board with this?
Yeah.
What's she going to can she still make a
Starlink.
living?
Yeah, Starlink. She can make exactly the same amount of money she makes anywhere on the planet.
And you're just going to take off with your kid and go live in a boat?
Yeah.
That's really your plan?
Absolutely. 100%.
Now I feel like you're going to
That's how crazy you sounded when you used to be hoarding stuff, by the way. No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, wow, dude.
But remember when you used to tell me how you were building up supplies? That's how crazy you sounded.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I just feel like I was ahead of my time.
No, if they start arresting political dissonance, if democracy really does collapse, which is, what is that, 1 in 3 chance? Like, if that happened, then I would, because I'm on record with millions of views calling Trump a racist and a bigot. So I'd probably be on the list of people that would get arrested as a political dissident. So in that case, I would. But I wouldn't be at the top of the list. But I'm probably number 1,000 on the list of the 5 million people they'd arrest.
Yeah, you got too many views. Now
Yeah.
I've said a bunch of shit. All I did was piss off a couple people here and there that I
Right.
had to block.
Yeah. So the fact that I am on record loudly calling America's Hitler, if he really does become that, then I really would have to leave.
Yeah, you're a scumbag, dude. Let me say it right now. Come for me, because you're a scumbag. And I actually was sad.
You're not well enough armed.
I know I'm not. Yeah, but I don't care.
You wouldn't end up in the camp. They'd just shoot you in your door.
That's whatever. Fine. Fuck it. I still think that. Oh God, I don't want to go through this again. I just fucking want to ignore this and pretend like it's not real, like a monster under the bed, and then it'll go away.
I love that. This is like my favorite image. You're like, oh God, I can't go through this again. You got a polo shirt on. You got a nice watch. Oh no, what am I gonna do?
You're clearing 6 figures close, right?
No, no.
You're close.
I don't know.
The world is so horrible.
No, I'm not saying it's
the
horrible.
world's so horrible. I had to clean my own Rolex.
I don't have a.
Oh my God! I literally had to sit there while they changed my oil. The economy's this whole thing, the system.
Maybe
is
that's
terrible.
why I don't care about the economy, because I'm just like, whatever. I'm still
fine.
paying my bills, and
Yeah.
I'm still seem to be doing all
Yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah,
still working.
yeah. If you were trying to live right now off $30,000 a year,
I'd be a Trump supporter.
probably. No, you wouldn't, because you're not a monster. But no, it's not fair though. It's not fair to say they're all monsters.
They are. You can't look at these people. You can't keep supporting these guys, the Gaetz
I'm
and
with
Trump
you.
and these
I'm
fucking
with
people.
you, but
They're-
you have to
That's how you
understand
get
their
You
argument.
don't want it like these. I got an argument with this fucking idiot again on Facebook with this guy where I posted something about off the old joke of Trump's the perfect Republican candidate. He's so pro-family that he has 3 of them. That joke that it's fine. And then he's like, then he wants to go off on Hunter Biden, fucking blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, like
He got convicted though. Hunter Biden got convicted.
yes, but do you really want to play the shitty son game when your
Right.
fucking guy is Donald Trump?
Yeah, Kushner got how many billion?
And he's like,
His
yes,
son-
I do. You fuck these guys. They just.
But you don't understand. To them, they are just as emotional and they think it's just as crazy. And they're saying to each other, these crazy fucking liberals think it's okay to cut off 8-year-old boys' dicks. That's their argument. These liberals are so crazy. They're out here castrating little kids and drugging them up and telling them that they're not boys.
killing babies.
Yeah. They're out here murdering babies in the womb. Like their argument is to them way more convincing than our argument is to us. And that's why they're as loud and as intense as they are.
It doesn't make to me it makes zero sense.
Well, my argument, I always argue
name
that the Second
name a
Amendment
great
was-
conservative person that we look up to in humanity.
They all
Through the
love-
history of humanity.
They all say Churchill. They all say Reagan. They all say Eisenhower. They all say, Reagan in their minds, Reagan ended communism, which to them is horrible. So he is here's
what we should do. We should solve the immigration problem and this problem all at one time. We elect a Democratic president, and then we close the border. First, we deport everybody that voted for Donald Trump, and we get them all. They get all these dumb people out of this country, and then we lock down the border.
See, you're a fascist.
Or whatever. We get rid of them.
See, look, Trump.
And then we start over.
Look,
There's the
Tom
clip,
Simmons.
clip,
there's the
clip.
clip. Tom Simmons' solution to dealing with Trump is to be worse than Trump.
Be worse than Trump. We build We build a border wall on the Mason-Dixon line.
The only problem is you live on the wrong side of it. But you don't care because you can afford a plane ticket to fly over.
That's right.
That's why you don't care, because you're doing great, Tom. You are sitting here rolling around in your Scrooge McDuck room of gold, going, "It's so bad for the poor. I hate it for the poor. Look what the terrible things are they're doing to the poor."
Right. And I got a 10-minute clip coming on me bitching about tipping. I don't want to tip.
Yeah.
Aren't things expensive enough?
Yeah,
I gotta
now you
tip
gotta
you at
tip.
Panda Express.
Yeah.
No.
I got to give you a tip when you're only making $2.36 an hour.
Ugh. I do I tip when I yes, I tip. I do.
Good
I tip
answer.
better now. I tip now. I tip good when I tip the cab driver. I'll tip good, or the shuttle driver, or the person that cleans my room. I'll tip them decently. You know, I tip waitresses and waiters.
You have to.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Stop saying this without rubbing money on yourself.
I don't want to tip the guy at. I don't want to tip the guy at Panda Express, or I don't want to tip the. I don't want to tip the Star. Sometimes I tip the Starbucks person, but you know what I'm saying. I don't want to tip the.
Okay, so
the fast food restaurant. I'm not fucking tipping you.
You know how you don't didn't want to invest in like Wall Street because it was like evil to you?
I don't want to invest in people.
Yeah, well, invest in this because it's some fucking single mom or something. I don't know. It's lame that she's not getting paid enough, but it's like
according to Mark
That's-
Robinson,
you know what,
the fact that she's a single mom is her fault. So
That is a good point. So, like yesterday, for instance, I realized once I left, I was like, man, I'm such a dick for not tipping. Like,
you are. You're an absolute.
I was
dick
at a
for not tipping.
baseball game. One of my son's baseball team was playing, and I got in for free because he put me on the will call list. And then I went and bought a hot dog, and I was like, can I pay for this in cash? And she's like, oh, we don't take cash. We only take credit cards. Unless it's a tip, then we take cash for tip. And I'm like, no, that's too bad. I only tip with credit card. She's like, oh, you can. Oh shit, now I know.
Well, I
was annoyed by having like tipping at a concession stand, and then I realized later I was like, I got in for free.
Yeah.
Sure, it was a $5 hot dog and it's too much, but
why is $5 too much for a hot dog?
Give the girl fucking $2. What's the
$5
matter?
not too much for a hot dog.
What kind of hot dog was it? A jumbo?
You know how I know it's not? Because you paid it.
No, I waited till the 9th inning and went down and got the $1.50 ones.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, a lot of other people paid it.
And you still didn't tip? All right, that's the end of the show. I gotta go.
Oh, my. Tom, just pull. I know you have cash in your pocket because you carry cash. Just sit there and rub it under your armpits and on your chest as you talk about how bad it is for poor people.
Look, poor people. Look, I've got $20. That's what I got. I have $25.
All right, rub it on yourself as you talk about how bad things are for the poor and how you don't want to tip. Also,
I don't want to tip. I like this $5. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I do.
It's 3 hot dogs.
Sometimes
right
I do tip a one, and I just have
look. He's getting hard just from smelling it.
I do feel like a little Scrooge McDuck when I do the tip $1. Like there's $1. There you go.
There you go. Go buy yourself a single loose cigarette.
Yes.